Hello, my name's Ian Spencer and I'm priest and warden of Holland House Retreat Centre in Cropthorne, a little village near Pershore in Worcestershire. Across the time that we've been struggling with the coronavirus and Holland House has been essentially closed, although our ministry has continued through the internet and in many other ways, I've been offering a series of meditations called Comfort in Crisis. The very first one I wrote, which seems like a long time ago now, was about creating a prayer space in our own homes because we maybe couldn't get to church and quite quickly into the down churches were closed. And so I thought I might share my own practice of creating one or two prayer spaces in my own house where I go and say my own prayers or practice my own meditations. I thought I'd share that with you, and you may feel that you'd like to create your own prayer space. I'm going to offer you a photograph of one I have here in my study, which is sort of out that way. You can't see it very well. It's sort of tucked behind some desks. It's dedicated to St. Francis, who I'm very fond of. And so I thought if I show you a picture of that to begin talk about it. So you'll see it's a very simple little prayer space. I'll hold it up to the camera so you can see really that that's just that's just a desk. It's a little old table. A statue of St. Francis that I'm fond of. A little San Daniamo cross out to the left of the picture, and a little thing for incense, a small candle. And behind Francis there is some prayer beads. I was in Assisi visiting St. Francis's church and his tomb on a retreat a few years ago. So it's sort of a Franciscan prayer rope. And I sit there and that's just a place for me to go and meet with God, but in the sort of spirit of St. Francis. Um, I have another place I sit as well, and this whole space is my prayer space in many ways. This is where I practice. I have a shocking for some, but I have a yoga practice here. I'm a yoga teacher, authorized teacher, so I practice my yoga here too, all in the spirit of walking more closely with Christ. But the little prayer space, as you could see, it was on a very humble little table. Used to be, I think many years ago, it was a little telephone table that my mother-in-law had, and when she died, we kind of inherited it. We didn't really need a telephone table, but we turned it into, well, it's been several things over the years, but now it's my St. Francis prayer space. So here's some tips about creating your prayer space, somewhere for you to sit and to be for a short time, because I think it's very helpful to have a space to go and sit in that's dedicated just for prayer, just for the deepening of our spiritual lives. First of all, tip number one, size doesn't matter. Okay, tiny space. It could be a corner of a table, could be a sill or a window ledge. Could be a little, could be a small chair, or maybe an upturned. It only has to be small. The second thing is just wherever you want to place it, put it somewhere where you can be quiet. Now I know that in lockdown and for busy families anyway, trying to find a quiet space isn't particularly easy. But you've only got to be quiet there for maybe minutes. So it hasn't got to be off limits to everybody, all the entire family, all day. It's not your own sort of chapel. It's a little prayer space. But you do need to be quiet there for, you need to feel that you can be guaranteed some silence and some quiet there for the 10 or 20 minutes or half an hour that you might want to spend there. So wherever you build it in a quiet space where you're not going to feel overlooked or like you're going to get interrupted. Somewhere where there's some solitude for you, just for that short amount of time. The third tip is build it and don't clutter it. So don't put anything else in the prayer space. So I'm going to say a few things that are good to be put in the prayer space, but don't fill it full of cups of coffee, post and old letters, plates of biscuits, cups of tea, or anything like that. It just needs to be empty of all clutter, save for the couple of things that it's worth putting in to help you with your spiritual life and your prayers. So tip number 4, put 3 things in the space, a minimum of 3, maximum of 4. The 3 things: firstly, something that represents your faith, a symbol that's really important to you, that straight away speaks to you of the divine. And it doesn't have to be, the usual things in terms of the Christian heritage. It doesn't have to be a crucifix or a cross or an icon or something like that. Or it can be. And I used this beautiful crucifix I got from an abbey in France a few years ago. It's in one of my spaces. But other places, it could just be something that speaks to you of the presence of God, that straight away says something important to you. It needs to speak to you of love, really. That's the thing. If it speaks to you of love, then use that. Put a light there. There's a little candle on mine. I've got a little beeswax candle. I'm a beekeeper, amongst other things, so I love the smell of bees. So when I light that candle, it smells straight away of bees. And if you know what bees sort of smell like, and it's very evocative. So, but all the great traditions use light as symbolic of the divine, and they sort of revere light. All of them, doesn't matter, Christians, Hindus, Muslims, the Buddhists, but light, symbols of light are very important. So it's nice to put a little light there. The third thing is to put something there that needs looking after. So cut flowers are good because they wither and they die and they'll need to be replaced. Or could be a little indoor plant, but one that needs looking after. So I'm not going to put a cactus there that only needs watering 3 times a year or something. So I'm not going to do it. So something that's going to need you to be tender towards it and love it. One of the things I have in my spaces is a shallow dish of water which quickly evaporates, and so I need to just top it up probably every 2 or 3 days. So that's quite good. Just a shallow dish of water. No good putting a beaker there or a big mug. It lasts 3 weeks. That's not going to do it either. Just a little shallow dish of water. And the fourth thing is you might want to put some incense there. I got some incense over there where my St. Francis corner is. I like incense. You could buy incense from all sorts of places. And our sense of smell is very evocative. It takes us to places straight away, doesn't it? You know that. There are certain smells that will just shrink time and space, and you'll be right back where that smell, where that fragrance, where you first smelled it, and it means something to you. So that can be very helpful for us to have some incense going. You might not like incense, so don't bother. That's a bit of an option, but I quite like incense. So we put these little things on our table, and one of the things about the living things is that they will call you. Actually, you'll find that the flowers, the petals will start to drop. Say the petals of this will start to fall, and it'll start looking like it needs to be taken back outside to finish its life cycle. It wants to go outside and finish its life cycle, so I'd take it outside and I'd throw it in the bin. Don't keep doing that. If you use cut flowers, don't throw them in the bin. Please don't do that. Take them back outside and allow them to complete their divine cycle of life. So put them back where you found them, or in the garden or someplace. So. Or if you have a little shallow dish of water, it'll dry, and you'll be surprised. You'll think, oh, and it'll kind of call you to the space, and indeed the whole space will call you regularly, and you'll get to hear its voice, and that's a very lovely thing. And when you've created your space, then just make sure that you can sit there comfortably. So get a comfortable chair, or if you sit on the floor, a cushion or something. But somewhere you can sit comfortably, but not so comfortable that you'll end up dozing. Okay, that's not the point of having a doze. If you do doze, well, okay. But really, we need to be attentive, and we need to be spiritual Hussein Bolts, ready to come out of the starting blocks. We sit in our prayer life, but we are very attentive to the promptings of the Spirit, to the voice of God in that space. So, but make certain you can sit there for a little while comfortably. And then when you've created your space and you have it just how you want it, make a commitment. Go and sit in it, and then while you're sitting it, the very first time you sit at your space, make a heart commitment. Make a heart commitment to go visit that space every day, and try and stick to that. It's a practice. Go to your place every day and sit. And it may be that some days you can't sit there for 20 minutes or half an hour or what you'd like to. Maybe some days you can't even get there for 5 minutes. Maybe today is just a chaotic day and there's too much happening. So when that happens, just go and stand in the space. Stand there for a minute or two. Just stand there and just be in that space. Look at the symbols. Bow in humble gratitude for the love of God and for the grace of God and for the very presence of God right here, right now. That the symbols are representing and moving you towards. Just 30 seconds. Just go in, make a bow of humble gratitude, and then get on with your day. You'll be amazed the difference that makes to your day. So make a heart commitment. Make a heart commitment to go visit your space every day and be with God in that space. Let the space become for you a place of comfort in crisis. And when all this is over and we get this back to some kind of, in inverted commas, normality, you will still have your space and it will be with you forever. And you can change things around. You can change the symbols and refresh it. But that space will be important to you. I know mine are important to me. And they've helped me a great deal on my spiritual journey. So I hope those little tips are helpful for you to make yourself a little corner in the house. It's a fun thing to make. It's somehow very satisfying, and then when you go to bed at night, you know you've got that space to go to in the morning. It's always there for you, and I pray very much that it will be a great blessing to you. So here's a little text from the scriptures that goes with this little talk. So it's from Matthew chapter 6 verse 6. Jesus says, when you pray, go to your room. Go to your prayer space. Go to your room. Close the door. Pray to your Father who is unseen. We don't need to see, because we're seeing in here, aren't we? We're seeing in here. And then the prayer, you might say this prayer in your prayer space. Let me hear you speak, O Lord, for you will speak of peace. Let me hear you speak, O Lord, for you will speak of peace. That's from Psalm 85, verse 8. You might say that for the first prayer in your prayer space. And then make that heart commitment to go visit every day. And you don't have to say anything. There's no need to say a thing. Just sit in it and just be attentive. But there's no need for any words if you don't want to say any, or you can't think of anything to say. I hope that's been helpful. Thank you for watching. You can find Holland House's website, www.hollandhouse.org. We hope to be open soon. This video is being made in June. I'm hoping maybe we'll get to open a little bit toward the end of July, and more fully in August and September. So I look forward to that, and to seeing you at Holland House if ever you can come. Many blessings.